Good morning, everybody. It's a dog in the kennel here on a beautiful Monday morning in the Finger Lakes. Hey, I'm back at my regular time slot. I know we screwed up and got you confused last week when I did this show at 6 o'clock on Monday night. But as I told you before, I got a part-time gig working for the New York State Thruway. I might as well tell you right up front, the reason I'm working there is to pick up some cash and also to keep myself active. And unfortunately, as you know, with the Thruway, it's open 365 days a year, 24 hours around the clock. So you never know when you're going to work. You never know when they're going to call you in. So I got some weird times. So if I'm not here on the regular scheduled time, blame it on the Thruway. But stop by. I will be working stations Waterloo, Geneva, and Weedsport. I'd love to see you stop by and say hello when you're driving through. Either I'll give you a ticket or take your cash. Good morning. We got lots to talk about. Let's get right to it. You know, I feel like a colonel in the Army, and all of a sudden I'm being called by my commanding officer to show up in his office, and all of a sudden they were saying, Weber, those 7 stripes on your uniform, rip, 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 rip. Why am I saying that? Because Lance Armstrong, the International Cycling Union has decided he is adios amigo. Lance Armstrong, winner of 7 Tour de France's, has been stripped of all of his 7 stripes. And they're saying they want him to pay back the $12 million he got for winning those 7 Tour de France's. That'll be an interesting aspect to follow as well. Lance Armstrong, of course, playing stupid, saying I didn't dope myself up to win all those races. And as I tried to tell you before, I'm not a big cycling fan, but I got to admit, I was enamored. I was caught up in when he was winning all those, and I did watch him compete. Because it was amazing to me how one individual, Go USA could win year after year after year. Now we're finding out the reason he could win all those Tour de France's as he was doped up. I've read a lot of background on Lance Armstrong and about all of the allegations. I know you're innocent until proven guilty. The dog comes down on guilty. Hey, Mallow's coming back to the Dome tonight. Hope that if you're checking out the dog, you're heading down to Syracuse to the Carrier Dome. As there's an NBA preseason game, the 76ers come into town to take on the Knicks, the New York Knicks, and, of course, Mallow. And he'll be playing near his own complex that he gave $3 million to build down there. So it'll be like a homecoming of sorts. Mallow will be there tonight playing basketball as the Knicks take on the 76ers. Usually those superstars don't play a whole lot of time, but maybe Mallow will play longer than expected because he's coming back to Syracuse. So if you're going down there, have a good time tonight as Mallow brings his Knicks into the Dome against the 76ers. Well, I chastise and I call him Doogie to Ditz and I rip him apart, but I've also learned in this broadcasting gig that you got to give credit where credit is due. Against Pascalone's outmanned, outgunned football team from Connecticut, Syracuse played passionate defense, and they really took it to Connecticut, storming through them like it was easy, baby. 40-10, SU now wins their 3rd game of the 2012 campaign. Was it easy? Yeah, with a capital E. Now, of course, Syracuse to become bowl eligible for 2012. They've got 5 to play. They need 3 more W's to get to 6 because that's the number you need to get to. They got to go on the road this week at South Florida. Up and down team hasn't really played to their expectations, but they got some big ends, big receivers, and a good quarterback. How they'll play, who knows? But I think that's a game that's winnable by SU on the road at South Florida. Then they come home and leave the clothes in the duffel bag because they're heading back out to Cincinnati the following week. And I think you could beat Cincinnati. I thought Cincinnati was a better team, but they got beat by Holy Toledo this past weekend. And then, of course, they come home for their signature game against Louisville. Then they go back on the road, and they go to Missouri, and then they end up with Shirley Temple, both road games. What's kind of ironic to me about Marrone and Syracuse, last year about the same time of the year, SU football was 4-1, and then they won that spectacular Friday night under the lights, destroying, I believe it was West Virginia, destroying them by 35 points. Everybody thought SU was going to propel their way onto a fabulous record, only to see them lose 5 straight and stay home when the Bulls became get ready to go. Shock City set in. This year, on a Friday night broadcast on ESPN, they destroy Connecticut. Let's see how their fortunes are this year. Hopefully they're better than a year ago. but I like to give credit where credit is due. I tip my hat to Syracuse and Marrone as they rang it up against Pasqualoni's team from Connecticut. I got to be honest with you, I don't understand how any of the voters, the writers, can give a first place vote in the polls for major college football. Somebody gave a vote from Florida. I'm assuming that person is a writer for Florida. How can you not go unanimous 60 votes to Alabama? I watched Alabama play Tennessee, okay? And it was like taking candy from a baby. They were 20-point favorites on the road in Tennessee. Peyton Manning was in the crowd checking out his alma mater. They toyed with that team like Jim Centercorpi would do with me if we played head up with no strokes in the game of golf. I cannot fathom how anybody in the world of writing for a living could say that Alabama does not deserve their first place vote. They got 59, Florida got 1. Are you kidding me? They literally could go in the NFL this morning and probably win a couple of games. That's how good this team is. They beat you down defensively. They got a strong quarterback. They got a great running game. They're smart. They don't make stupid mistakes. They just run over you. You're the grass. They're the lawnmower. Alabama truly is a step, maybe 3 steps above everybody else, in my opinion, in the world of college football. And Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish, escape. That was a trap game. BYU led. Notre Dame comes from behind, wins by 3. The Irish now 5th in the BCS. That's the most important breakdown as far as statistics go. They're ranked 5th. Coming up this Saturday night, 8 o'clock ABC, is showdown material. Why? Notre Dame, with a strong defense, a very inconsistent, non-percolating offense most of the time, will go to Norman, Oklahoma, and take on the wild, crazy, scoring, wacko bunch of Sooners. 8 o'clock Saturday night. Tell your girlfriend and your wife you want to stay home, get a Subway sandwich and a cold beer, and relax and watch. Can Notre Dame stay with Oklahoma? I think defensively they'll play Oklahoma tough. The question is, will they score enough points to beat them? Should be interesting. Well, holy Hobart, how about the Statesmen in Geneva, New York? 7-0, they just keep on rolling. They blew away Rensselaer RPI over the weekend. They got a showdown game at home in Geneva, up at Boswell against Union, noontime this coming Saturday. Geneva, New York, the site of that game. Go get them, Hobart Statesmen. And myself and Jimmy would like to congratulate the football teams in the area that continue to move through the sectionals, and that goes to Canandaigua, the Newark Club, Geneva, Clyde-Savannah, and Red Jacket as they continue to play impressive football. Speaking of impressive, a subject that I very seldom talk about on this show, and I apologize for that, ladies tennis, and for that matter, boys tennis. But let's talk about girls tennis. Minders Academy, congratulations out to Emily Sullivan and Sam Felice from our alma mater, Minders Academy, winning the Section 5C doubles tennis championship. Last year, Emily Sullivan teamed with Megan Allen. She won last year. She wins this year with Sam Felice. And you know the good news is, Emily's only a junior. Got a chance to come back next year with maybe Sam Felice or a new partner and go for the three-peat. So congratulations from Weber on Sports and all of us here at FingerLakes1.com to Emily Sullivan and Sam Felice for winning the Section 5 Class C Tennis Doubles Championship. And as I give out kudos and accolades, let's not forget, thanks to the members of the Waterloo boys girls soccer teams, as well as the Waterloo girls volleyball team, for fundraising efforts on Kicking Cancer. They raised $1,600. What can you say, folks? These funds will be donated to the American Cancer Society. So there's always a few bad kids, I'm sure, in your neighborhood, but there's a lot of great kids. And all of the kids representing the Waterloo boys and girls and the Waterloo volleyball team are the good side of the ledger. Congrats, and we are proud of you. Well, the Yankees, of course, see you later. The Yankee universe is still in shock for being swept by the Tigers. Give credit to the Tigers. They pitched better, they hit better, They hit in the clutch better. They were much the better team. It doesn't mean a lot when you have the highest payroll in baseball. You expect major returns. Hal Steinbrenner and the organizational management team of the Yankees no doubt have a lot of issues to look at. What is the future of Alex Rodriguez? Will they continue to keep him on the payroll? Will they try to work a deal with Miami? Rumor has it they love him in Miami. Of course, he's from Miami. To pick up part of his salary. I'm not so sure. I hate to say it, Alex Rodriguez is not my age of 67 and a half. But you got to wonder, folks, is he on the downslide? Yes, he's in great physical shape. Nobody denies that. But if you can't hit right-handers, and oh, by the way, here's a stat. His last 102 at-bats, 102. You know how many extra base hits he's had? One. Now, I know you got to pay him $28 million for 5 years. We talked about how much he gets in his direct deposit every 2 weeks, $821,000 every 2 weeks in his checking account for the next 5 years. Not a bad bunch of cash, eh? I'm not so sure. Personally, I'm not a big fan, Yankee fan like my wife Mary is, but I would kind of move Alex Rodriguez out of town. I seriously would. I would give great consideration. I don't know if he's ever going to regain his home run stroke. Maybe I'll be proven wrong. I've been proven wrong many times on this program. But I kind of lean toward, see ya, Alex. We'll see what happens during the offseason. Swisher, I mean, yeah, nice guy, makes a lot of funny faces, sort of like the class clown of the Yankee organization. He's a free agent. Goodbye. Curtis Granderson, yes, he had 40-some home runs. Yes, he hit a lot of great home runs. Yes, he plays a great center field. But that's what he does. Do the Yankees need 40-some home runs from Granderson? You might say, yeah, they do. I don't think so. The Yankees led Major League Baseball in total home runs. The problem with Granderson, he either hits a home run or strikes out. I'd almost kind of lean to letting him go. He's a free agent. Bringing someone in there that makes contact with the baseball. Somebody who can hit 15 to 20 home runs, but hit gap singles or gap doubles. Again, I'm leaning toward Bye-bye Curtis. We'll have to wait and see what happens. But the Yankees certainly better shake up the lineup. They got some major issues and disappointment for all you Yankee Universe fans. Well, the National League Championship Series, you can't expect a better ending. Game 7 tonight, 8 o'clock. Why they're starting at 8 o'clock, I don't know. The Fox Network could care less about Monday Night Football as they're going to compete tonight for viewership. Giants-Cardinals, winner take all, winner moves on, host the World Series, which starts Wednesday night. Detroit will either go to San Fran if they win or go to St. Louis if they win. Doesn't get any better than this. As a sports guy and a sports fan, I'm disappointed the networks are going to compete football versus last game of the National League Championship Series. I'm kind of pulling for the Giants. I don't know why. I'm pulling for San Fran to win Game 7, and that means very well, that bodes well if you're a Cardinal fan, because you know the dog, 13% right, which means I'm 87% of the time dead wrong. Let's go to the world of racing. Danica Patrick over the weekend in Nationwide had a good finish, 10th. Bob and Leslie Ullman are excited about that. So Matt Kenseth wins the NASCAR race. 14 cautions were called yesterday in Kansas, the most this year in NASCAR. And Danica competed in the big race too. And she was upset with some dude, the 83 car, and I can't think of the kid's name. And all of a sudden, Danica decided for a little payback. That's part of racing. I kind of like that. So does Dick Marshall and my buddy Ted Flock. So Danica goes up on this guy's bumper to kind of spin him away. Nice move, Danica. And you could see the car wiggle, but the 83 car regained composure and kept it on the track. Danica, the aggressor, kind of lost control of her car, and guess what happened? The aggressor, Danica, goes across the track, bang, hits the wall. I mean, come on. If you're going to be the aggressor, that's one thing. I support that. That's racing. But you don't crack your car up. You crack up the guy you're trying to be aggressive with. So Danica finishing 32nd in the big-time race. Not exactly a smooth move by Danica. And that's why, folks, I'm kind of thinking she should be in Dunkin' Donuts. Coffee? 2 muffins to go. You're listening to Weber, checking out the dog here on a Monday morning, our regular time. Good to be with you. Hope you had a fabulous weekend. We have a beautiful week of weather ahead. We're going to take a commercial break and hear from our great sponsors to make this show possible. We'll come back and put the finishing touches after this. Welcome back, everybody. It's a dog in the kennel here on a Monday. Hope you had a good weekend. It's going to be a nice weekend as a week ahead. We got nice weather, talking 74 degrees on Thursday. Nice, 74, beautiful degrees. And we're talking late October as we kind of claw our way up to Halloween. Trick or treat. All right, folks, let me tell you something. Back when I was 18, 19 years old, my brother Bob was in the Air Force. He came home on leave. I loved his uniform. I was banging around Seneca Falls, working down at Shannon's Clothes Shop. Remember that place? Making about $13 a week. I didn't want to go to college. I hated school. I was kind of just had no clue. I thought maybe my career would be a third shift manager at McDonald's. Well, as you all know, it changed that. I decided I'm going to go in the Air Force because I liked my brother's uniform. True story. And I enlisted. I went to enlist. Went for the 5 hours physical down in Syracuse. Got to the eye exam. And, of course, as anyone knows the dog, I got a bad right eye. I've had it since 1952, where I caught a stick in the pupil. Ouch! 90% of my right vision of my right eye is adios amigo. It's been that way for 60 years. And they kept yelling at me, especially the Marine during the physical, that they're going to get me in and I want to be behind a desk. And I said, well, sir, I'm enlisting. Shut up! Don't talk when I'm talking. Typical Marine idiot. And I love the Marines, by the way. But the Marine was playing hard ass with the dog because he thought I was trying to chicken out, even though he forgot to look at the form. I didn't get drafted. Hello? I'm enlisting. I'm trying to get in. Long story short, I never made it to the military, got into service. I really tried to get in. But I always love our service people. And I truly, if I go to a restaurant with Mary and I see somebody with a uniform on, I make a point to go up and shake their hand and thank them for their service protecting us, regardless of where they're stationed, okay? I have always been like that, and I think most of you who watch this show are. You got to love the military. Women and men, I don't care what position they are and where they are. They protect our butts, and we really should appreciate and thank them for their service. But I got to tell you something. I'm not thrilled with what they're doing with these major college basketball games on aircraft carriers and warships. What's up with that? I know they started this fad a couple of years ago, but why? My wife, Mary, who I've been married to, will be 47 years in May, has a great two-word line, and that two-word line is, that's stupid. Why in God's sakes do we have to play? Syracuse is playing San Diego State November 9th out in the West Coast on a warship, aircraft carrier. Why? We can't find a place to play this game? I mean, you got to configure that warship to accommodate the media, television, and you know and I know who's getting the best seats watching those games on the aircraft carriers and the warships. The colonels, the generals, the sergeants, the little peasant, little buck privates, they're going to be adios amigo. They're going to be back in a motel room watching the game on TV. I cannot fathom why we're going to this. It's to become patriotic and respect the service. We already do. I just told you what I do, and I bet you 98% of Americans do the same thing. So I'm confused to why we had this fad. And yes, I understand they got sponsors, and it's not supposed to cost us any money. Baloney. You know, somebody's forking over some cash from the Defense Department to do these things. I just don't understand why. I am pro-service. I love our servicemen and women, but I yet figured out why we got to play basketball games on warships. Why don't we go on top of a Walmart building and play a game? I mean, come on. To me, it doesn't make any sense. San Diego State, Syracuse will go at it on a warship November 9th, and I just don't understand why it's taking place. And I'm not against, a little bit of, coolness in the game of basketball. But why warships? I don't get I know that's supposed to be a patriotic thing, but you know and I know the people that are going to have the best seats watching the game are all the high 5-star people, the 4-star people. They're not going to let the little low end, the little clerk, or the little buck sergeant, or the little privates, the new recruits. You think they're going to get good seats watching Syracuse? Give me a break. I think it's stupid. Thanks, Mary, for the line. Let's go to the NFL, baby. Let's talk about, the furry feathered one at Fitzpatrick. I got to tell you, Kenny's two pennies. I can't wait to watch his show this week. Oh, my God. They gave him another $35 million during the last several months ago. They opened up his contract, tore it up, and gave him a new one for another $30 million. Oh, yeah, they're leading by 6, throws an INT. Tennessee, who's played like a bunch of pigs, comes down, nips them by 1 at the buzzer. How in the hell can you justify this guy, the Harvard graduate? He had to go back teaching there. I mean, he is worthless. Worthless. And oh, by the way, I love it when the Bills lose. Oh, by the way, if you're listening to the radio transmission of a Bills broadcast, or if you're watching the Jills on TV, and God only knows we have to because we live in central New York, and that's always going to be the 1 o'clock or 4 o'clock game. Let me ask you something here. Trivia question. How many times have you heard the name Super 94 Mario Williams? I think he's had 1.5 sacks through 7 games. I think. $100 million they signed this guy for. He was going to transform the defense into the ferocious Bills. I think I've heard his name maybe twice. Once on the field and once when he ordered a pizza at the end of the game. Folks, the Jills, who I cannot stand, they are the most worthless, ridiculous team in the game. They continue to make floundering, dumb mistakes, and you wonder how Dave Wanstead, the defensive guru, is still working there. They signed him to a deal for like $700,000, $800,000 to be the defensive coordinator. Oh, by the way, have you looked at stats? They're the worst defensively, ground and pass. How does Wanstead keep his job? So, folks, you can continue to be a Bills fan, and I love it because most Sundays I enjoy picking on this team because they are worthless. The Doug and Paulie Show, 2 shows to go. Coming up this Wednesday, Jimmy and Paulie will be here. I hope to be here. If I'm not, you know why. And then, of course, our wrap-up show will be on Halloween, October 31st. It's been fun doing the show, but because of my weird, wild schedule right now, it's impossible for me to continue the show. But again, folks, we hope that you'll check out Mello tonight as the Knicks come into town at Carrier Dome land and take on the 76ers. Don't forget, big night of football. The Lions take on the Bears in Chicago. The Giants take on the Cardinals. Game 7 of the National League Championship Series. Take care, everybody. It's always a slice. Hang in there. That's a look at sports my way.